So what are diet breaks and how do they help your fat loss goals? Keep on watching. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a sports dietitian, nutrition coach. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my video. Great to have you here. Diet breaks have become so popular in recent years. And this is specifically in the fat loss space, as it is seen as a primarily fat loss strategy or fat loss solution. But what are diet breaks and can they actually help you? And if they can, how do they actually help? These are the 3 questions that I'm going to be answering for you today. So without further ado, let class commence. So first, let's define diet breaks. What actually are they? Where a diet break is basically a planned break from your calorie deficit or planned break from your dieting, hence the name diet break. And a typical duration of one is between 1 to 2 weeks, but that can vary obviously. Some people can do it longer. Generally, you wouldn't do it shorter because then it's not really a diet break. Now, I should say this because this is super important, is that while it is a break from your dieting, you are not actually fully just breaking off your dieting and doing whatever. It's still very much a strategy and you have to control your calories because you have to eat to maintenance. Okay, so diet break is eating in maintenance for 1 to 2 weeks or so as a diet break. It's not eating in a surplus because then that negates whatever you're doing and negates the approach to fat loss that you're trying to achieve. So keep that in mind. It's very important. It's a strategic break from your diet, not breaking off your diet. Okay, so now that we know what the definition is, there's not really much more there to define. That is the basis of what it is. Now let's talk about how does it actually help? Is there evidence to support this? So you can interpret this and see how it could potentially be of relevance to your own goals, to your own plan, to your own strategy. So you can decide if it's something worthwhile pursuing. So the biggest study that we look at, as dietitians, when we look at the diet break strategy, is the Matador study. Now the Matador study had participants doing a diet break for 2 weeks and then dieting for 2 weeks. So 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on. And then the non-diet break group, they did that for 16 weeks, whereas the diet break group did it for 30 weeks. The results found that the one that did the diet break actually showed more fat loss efficiency. They improved their fat loss potential for doing those diet breaks. And this was suspected to be as a result of the reduction in metabolic adaptations and compensatory activities, and as well as just overall just making it easier for the participants to stay consistent. Now, metabolic adaptations and compensatory activities, as I mentioned, that is very much the things that your body does physiologically as well as mentally to help kind of conserve energy and make dieting harder the longer you do it and the more extreme that you do it. So it's a classic thing like, prolonged dieting reduces your metabolism, makes you more hungry, makes you move less, all that sort of stuff. That's all kind of in the nutshell that is metabolic adaptation. So the Matador study found that it helped reduce some of those, so they helped with the potential for fat loss and it achieved better results for the diet break group. However, this needs to be looked at in more broader sense and looked at, okay, yes, that did happen, but you also got to consider the fact that it took them double the time because you're obviously taking a break from a calorie deficit every 2 weeks for 2 weeks. So it took them 30 weeks versus 16 weeks. So from a practicality point of view, you got to consider that as well, obviously depending on how often you implement a diet break. And keep in mind that in that study, they did it every 2 weeks. In practical terms, or if I'm doing it or if I'm helping a client do it, very rarely will I have to do something that often. It'll be a lot more infrequent and be more so used as a bit of a way to kind of stabilize things every so often. Now, there are other studies that have looked at diet breaks and there is more to come. But no other study really truly found like the benefit in terms of the metabolic adaptations, except for maybe reduction in hunger, because obviously taking a diet break helps regulate your hunger, gets your leptin going again, all that sort of stuff. Leptin is the satiety hormone, in case you didn't know. All in all, the consensus really is that it's not so much that the diet break is this fat loss magic, this huge fat loss solution that helps you more mentally in a diet in terms of reducing the feelings of restriction so that you can be more consistent, be more adherent, and do the diet for more longer so that you can actually achieve your goals that you're trying to achieve. That's where the true benefit of diet breaks really comes in. And yes, there is the added benefit of potential metabolic adaptations being reduced so that you can increase your fat loss efficiency and so on and so forth. But I don't want you to just sit there and be like, oh, diet breaks are going to be this magic solution for me. They're going to reduce all these things and make sure my metabolism is sky high and all these sort of things. There's obviously going to always be some metabolic adaptations with any dieting process. But think of diet breaks as a potential strategy to help alleviate the stress and the feelings of restriction and potentially the hunger related to dieting on prolonged periods of time. So yeah, diet breaks can be helpful, But the general consensus, in my opinion, it's mostly to do with the fact that it makes dieting feel easier, which can't be understated. That is an important part of making a strategy more effective, because the easier it feels, the better you do it. Now, other than the mental aspect of reducing feelings of restriction, other benefits include the following. One benefit, it gives you opportunity to eat a bit more food so you can hit more of your nutrient targets that you might otherwise not be hitting on a calorie deficit when you're eating less calories, obviously. So diet breaks could be used as a bit of an opportunity to kind of pump up the nutrients, kind of fill up the gap, so to speak, and get you going in the right direction. And then secondly, it can also help you kind of get a feel, so to speak, a feel for what it's going to be like when you start maintaining your weight after your fat loss plan, because it gives you an idea of what it's going to be like. So you're not constantly, or you shouldn't at least, constantly be in a calorie deficit for year in and year out and just indefinitely. There's going to be a point where you have to maintain your weight. And a diet break gives you a bit of that essence, a bit of that taste test, a bit of that feel of what it might actually feel like. So it can prepare your mindset as well. So again, it comes down to that mindset thing. So there you go. Now you know what diet breaks are. You know that they're strategic, planned breaks from your calorie deficit where you eat at maintenance. You know that typically they're 1 to 2 weeks in duration. You also understand that the frequency at which you do it can vary, but that the more often you do it, obviously the more the impact it's going to have on the duration of your whole fat loss phase. But you now also understand that there are potential benefits there, that the studies are promising, that there's potentially there the reduction in metabolic adaptations, which is always going to be helpful when you're trying to lose weight. But you also then know that the mindset is a big thing here, and that the feeling of restriction is reduced, and that could be the big benefit of diet breaks, so you can help with adherence and consistency over the long term. And then we also talked about the added benefits of preparing your mindset for the future of maintenance, as well as giving you the opportunity to top up, so to speak, your nutrient intake on those times, because sometimes it is hard to hit nutrient intake when you're in a calorie deficit. And the verdict? Well, diet breaks can be a very effective tool. It can be really good, and it's not a fad tool or anything like that. It's a solid strategy that I have used with clients. I have used with myself as well. And it's something that you very much should consider if you're trying to lose weight. Now, doing it correctly obviously requires that you know how to interpret the strategy, that you know how to balance it out, that you don't go overboard and that sort of thing. So it is always advised when it comes to nutrition that you do work with someone like a sports dietitian to help guide you, even in the initial stages, to get you set up in the correct way. So it is a worthwhile strategy to consider, and see if it's worthwhile for you yourself to implement it in your plan, so maybe you can get some of the benefits that diet breaks can give. Now, what I want to know is comment below. Comment below and let me know, are you going to be trying a diet break, or have you tried a diet break, and what was your experiences? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. As always, hit the like button if this video has helped you. If you now understand more about diet breaks and it's giving you more insight and more ideas for your own fat loss, then hit the like button and show it some love. As always, stay safe, stay classy. See you later. Bye.